Update 666 is the biggest update that Doom Eternal might ever have. People have gone at length to explain all of the changes, quality of life improvements, and new features of the update, so I don't think it's necessary for me to do so at this point at least. 2 new master levels were released with update 6.66, the World Spear and Mars Core. I'll make separate videos going through each of them, but for right now, I wanted to talk about the future of Doom Eternal and the potential next master level. The middle third of the game seems to be getting the most attention in terms of master level content, with Super Gore Nest, Arc Complex, Mars Core and Taras Nabard all being turned into master levels. Yes, I know that Cultist Space was also turned into a master level, but that was a pre-order bonus only, and id Software designed it at a point where they didn't quite get the potential of master levels. There's obviously more difficult enemy placements in Cultist Space and Arc Complex, but there were no gimmicks on display or any changes with the level design itself. Hopefully they go back and add on to those initial master levels at some point, as long as they give the players an option to play the original versions of them. That all being said, I think id Software should tackle one of the earlier levels for the next master level, and the perfect one to choose from is Exultia. Now, Exotia is not everyone's favourite level, and I completely understand why. Take this example. For first time players, the whiplash you would experience from running, gunning, and killing demons at a breakneck pace to then being slowed down by purple goo is harsh. While the purple goo can be a good level design tool if used sparingly, it wasn't implemented well in Exultia. I get that it was put there as an intentional pace breaker, but the purple goo is way better suited as a stage obstacle like how it's placed in Arc Complex. Good players won't get touched by the purple goo at all and can actually be avoided, unlike the goo found in Exultia. Even though I get this complaint, Exultia is still a nice level to look at, and I like how it introduces many more stage hazards compared to Hell on Earth, for example. If Exultia was turned into a master level nowadays, I can definitely see them doubling down on these obstacles to make things more difficult for players. Exultia starts out in these castle ruins, and the player has to perform some light platforming. There are no enemies in sight, which obviously needs to be fixed in the master level. Add some cacodemons and carcasses or something. Since experienced players are probably most familiar with these early levels, Exultia should make you feel uncomfortable straight away. The secret extra 1-up you find early on, make pain elementals and a marauder spawn when you pick it up, for example. I want the first couple of levels to be insanely difficult when they are turned into master levels, filled with plenty of gimmicks and extra combat encounters to keep players on their toes. There's no reason to pull punches, and since the earlier levels are shorter than levels like Mars Core and Taras Nabard, you can afford to drag these combat situations out a bit to make players sweat. When you kill the Hell Knight and walk into this palace area, there has got to be an original combat encounter, and the 3 statues in the room need to shoot out laser beams. I would also love it if the elevator stops and you get transported to some brand new arenas, Taras Nabard style, just to keep things fresh and to drag on the level a bit more. So the player hops down into the winding room filled with lightning bolts. Keeping with Exultia's trend of putting purple goo around the place, they could possibly put splatters of purple goo in this room with super heavies as reinforcements. One of the best combat encounters in Exultia is the arena with the water that becomes electrified when you return later on in the level. This can definitely be spruced up somehow, and in this first half of Exultia with all of the medieval castles and little platforming sections, they can add so many gimmicky incidental encounters. The first half of the level kinda loops around when you're activating the teleporter, so id Software could play around with that aspect as well, similar to how they switched up where the player usually goes in the World Spear master level. Once you're transported to Hell, you end up in an arena battle with Revenants, Hell Knights, Cacodemons, and the usual fodder demons. I I like the verticality in this fight, and I feel like it can be pushed further if they have a buff totem that's on a high platform, or maybe you have to kill a hidden archvile that's in one of the secret areas. Okay, now we're going to talk about the first purple goo section. I personally have no idea how they can update this for a master level, but I'm really looking forward to how they pull it off and make it more of a pain in the ass. Maybe they'll reduce the purple goo so it doesn't interrupt the flow of the level, or they will troll the player base by adding more purple goo. Only time will tell. When the player opens up the massive hell doors, I want there to be a unique combat challenge that the player must complete before the next door opens. Or they can just add 4 marauders at the end of the final door or something, just to freak players out. Either way, this is a big moment in the level due to the sheer size of the doors and the effort it takes to open them all, so there needs to be a big dangerous fight that follows. The next arena is huge, so I'm expecting some difficult enemy placement. id Software hopefully won't disappoint here. Their master levels have gotten better and better as time goes on, so we'll see. There is a lot of vertical movement in this arena, so I'm sure that there will be plenty of airborne demons to take care of. The platforming sections in Exultia could also use some more enemies to get in your way. Maybe they can take a page out of a Mars Core master level and stuff in a group of arachnotrons that are blasting at the player as they navigate the traversal puzzles. Or the developers could rip this rather basic and easy platforming section out and replace it with something completely new. The only other suggestion I have is that I want to fight a marauder on the sentinel spear that you walk over later on in the level. I always thought that there should have been an obstacle here, and having one in the master level version would be fantastic. I'm looking forward to the next master levels that come out, and hopefully id Software are working on one for the DLC alongside a base campaign master level. I would love to see a consistent release pattern of an Ancient Gods master level and a base campaign master level every couple of months or so. However, I think that Horde mode might take up some of that development time, adding new arenas and features of that sort. We'll see what the future holds for Doom Eternal, but Exultia and even Hell on Earth would make for perfect master levels in the near future. They're small enough maps that it won't take too long to develop compared to Urdak or even the Necrovol levels, for instance, and there's plenty of creative, experimental and gimmicky combat encounters that they can implement with their stage hazards. Also, the first Slayer Gate is accessible in Exultia, and I would personally like to see a master level Slayer Gate included in the future. Maybe they shouldn't implement them in the later and more difficult master levels, but I'd like to see an optional challenging arena in the easier levels like Exotia, Hell on Earth, and the Doom Hunter base. If you complete the Slayer Gate, you could unlock a special Slayer skin or a podium based on the master level you are playing. Of course, these master level Slayer Gates need to be fucking brutal and long, tough, and need to make even the most experienced players sweat. What do you think the next master level should be, and when the Exotia master level does release, how should the purple goo be handled? Let me know in the comment section down below. And oh yeah, I'm back. How has everyone fucking been? Let me know as well. I'll talk to you again very shortly.
What do I know? Spend a night hitchhiking, where will I go? I can fly with my eyes closed, but it get kinda hard to see, it's no surprise though. I ain't hiding, I don't know my feet when I be blind.